Welcome. No one's in the room. I am live. Let's see what happens. Hello. I was scheduled to come in 9 minutes ago, but this is my first live video, and essentially I'm just testing the waters, see what happens. I have a lot of information to go through to do with creation and how that relates to technologies, and how today the elites are emulating everything to do with ourselves, using the knowledge of creation to do with space and time to basically kill everything. It's a sad, sad state of affairs, the world we live in. We were warned a long time ago. Unfortunately, these wicked spirits in high places are malevolent demon souls, alien souls from a previous epoch, giant cannibals, you name it. They're out now. They've got temples, and there is a great war taking place across the earth. Now, everything of this earth has to do with cycles and the great cycle itself. Everything is based on the perfect circle. Now, if you look behind me, I've got almost to finish the blueprint, but it's took me months and months to get here. Of the created earth, it's got massive evidence of engineering using machines, and so this is kind of like we have to go into understanding the duality of creation, the duality of reality, which is very complex when it comes to understanding that it goes into civilization as well. And that, unfortunately, we've never been told the truth about the ancient past, and there was 1,000 years of peace, you know, based on a matriarchal based contribution society run by females, where the men was protecting the females, etc. with knowledge. You know, there was no demons because they used the knowledge of creation, which has everything to do with the rainbow, which is why today you see the rainbow everywhere. It's complicated, this reality, but once you understand there's the signs and symbols, it becomes a lot more easier to decode. Excuse me. Essentially, it's complicated, very complicated, and I've been trying to do on my channel small videos of information to lead up to this video today or in the near future about all the knowledge I've acquired and put together in my mind, which has been put together by the collective consciousness of our species. Not just that, but it's evidence of culture from across the earth, tribes, you know, declassified military files, you name it. I mean, I've studied paleoanthropology, archaeology, ancient history, secret societies, religion, ufology, extraterrestrials, the paranormal. It's all got to be incorporated into your overall perception of reality, which today most people don't want to believe these things to be true, and those that do have, like myself many years ago, believe it with that evidence still a lie, you know, that space is forever expanding and aliens exist in space when and Mars and on planets. But none of this is truth. You know, when space is water and frequencies are the stars. It's very cold today. I see there's 2 people that have joined. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jay Banham. Thank you for watching my videos. There's a lot to take in. It's, as I said, very complicated. I'm just trying to speak to you openly, you know, and honestly. Absolutely, mate. Science don't know anything. The problem is with that is the people in charge know the truth. They just refuse to go against it. You know, they openly know the knowledge, but they use signs and symbols to denominate truth and lies in front of your face. And so I can teach you these things. I've been trying to teach people these things. That this, when you see it, the next an eye, clear as day. This is a truth. You know, if they hold their fingers like this, it's when they do certain things. If they got glasses, they touch the glasses. That's an outcome. That's their intention. That's part of an agenda. You know, these beings in the bodies of the elites, as I've been discussing on my Facebook today, are clones. You know, they're not human. They got, you know, the Queen's speech, for example, multiple times in reverse suggests that they're not human. You know, shit, she's going green, and I've captured the visual evidence for that too, with Camilla being grey and having horns sticking out of her head. You know, it is what you see, but you can't. The human eye cannot perceive this without actually having a knowledge to see it. And so as you gain more knowledge, you see more things. And honestly, like, the more that I know myself, the more I see. And it is complicated, especially when you incorporate this stuff, you know, the actual evidence, which points to theories way beyond what most people could ever imagine. You know, the fact that there's giant shipwrecks, you know, under the ocean. It's it's complicated. You see the Fibonacci sequence. Sorry, the mandala is all based on the power of, you know, there's a great circle. For the power of 369 is based on time, space-time itself. You know, 3,600 years. It's time itself, and the stars determine this. It says in the Bible so. I'm not religious, and yet, you know, I've studied religion, and there's truth and lies within the Bible just as much as there's truth and lies on the television. You see what I'm saying? I've studied Freemasonry, I've studied the occult, I've studied the unseen. I comprehend on a technological level our own existence in terms of, well, souls, our energy, and the elites in way trying to emulate this. They've not told you that you are in essence artificial intelligence with free will to think for yourself that is created using the same principles as reality, space, that it is water and frequency devices that resonate at certain frequencies which create light. It's this principle is called sonoluminescence. Welcome, the 4th person. So there's certain principles you need to understand in order to actually change your entire perception of reality. This takes time. It's took me over 12 years to know truth, to sit here and say to the things I'm saying today about all subjects and how they all incorporate and come in together to paint a completely different picture about every single freaking subject we've ever been taught at school. You know, the fact that this here proves volcanic activity is a mask for getting away with mass genocide. You know, that tectonic plates and all the stuff about geological time proves without a shadow of a doubt that that stuff is a lie. The earth is hollow, you know. Now, I watched the thing the other day, and I already knew this, but it retwigged in my mind that the earth is seriously hollow, and they know it. Now, these sensors for earthquakes and that are real. They're not, and the data is real, but it's what that data is actually recording. Now, I did say in a previous video that infrastructure has gone up underground for over 400% increase in monetary terms, 400 increase financially, percent increase in bunker building, essentially underground infrastructure. Now, all these sensors pick up seismic activity, right? Which is sound, energy. So all the stuff that we're picking up is actually not, a lot of it is underground work by the government, because the thing I watched the other day said that the American military knew that South Korea was doing underground nuclear bomb tests because the earth literally shook, because the earth is hollow. They felt it. They picked it up on their, you know, seismology equipment. You see, that's deception there. They pick up sounds from underground. What, the horn sounds we hear occasionally? Yeah, what are the horn sounds? Okay. Yes, there's a lot of stuff going on underground. Absolutely, 100%. You know, that this is the stuff it's picking up on the seismology stuff, you know, how they're not only that, but they, you know, that because of the lies of everything for the centuries, they can bomb certain places and get away with it. You know, they've labeled stuff well in advance of an agenda to get away with this, you know, under the guise of nature. You know, what they use that knowledge, which is based on frequencies. You see what I'm saying? So like HARP is, sorry, I'm doing this reverse, but you know, HARP stations here is putting up frequency devoted sounds. You know, the underground info, it's everywhere. You know, it's a collective thing. You know, it's not just, you have to take data which they provide for you and then go and look for other information elsewhere and then put it together in a way that makes more sense. So for example, if you went and looked at infrastructure in how much bunker building's gone up over the last 10 years, you'll know it's gone up like 400%. And then you got to think, okay, seismology and all the activities got increased. And there is a connection, you know. The television is very clever because of how it stitches images together in a fluid motion to trick your subconscious mind about everything, you know. And it's very clever. It's beyond a joke, but you know, you have to learn these things. Thank you, Ellie Mae. Thank you for watching. I don't know how long this video is going to go for. It was just the first of all, it's a test. Second of all, I'm just sat here telling you what I know in a way, just random as hell, you know. It's all random. Hopefully some information will resonate with you, you know, or that it may, you may go and look at other things and go, oh, actually, yeah, that connects to other things. Thank you. So the emulation of the technological creation, the cloud system. Let's talk about the Akashic record. Now we are wirelessly connected, let's call it, to an information field around us, which is everywhere. It is essentially the same as, absolutely, but there is clarity once you get to a certain level, 100% on that. I can guarantee you. But you have to see it in technological terms rather than, and then mix it all together, spiritual, mental, physical. You know, it's the duality side of things as well. So anyway, the cloud, and in a way, what I'm trying to say to you, in emulation ways, because once you understand that emulating creation, you kind of get at what is creation to begin with. You kind of get what I'm saying? You know, you have to see the technological side of it. So anyway, it's cold. The cloud essentially is the emulation of the Akashic record, which is recalled by, you know, the ancient alien theorists and stuff like that. You know, Eric von Daniken. Absolutely, yes. It's for us to work out, for sure. But it's done. We've done it. We've smashed it. You know, all the answers are out there. It's just how you put it together. But it ain't easy to explain. Absolutely. So go back to the Akashic record. Your pineal gland is the seat of your soul. And that is energy. So let's relate this to ghosts. Yes, absolutely. Belief in certain knowledge is essential. I agree, because you use that belief to hold on to values, morality. Absolutely, no, you're not. I'm not talking religion either. But it does entwine with religion, very much so. But that goes into history, cultural heritage, and the Knights of the Cross. Now, there's a lot of programming that points to this stuff, particularly in cartoons. They're not holding back, but the Knights were meant to protect us from the underworld. And unfortunately, obviously, the underworld has done a number on the Knights. Let's say they've overdone their organizations. True, you know. I want to abolish money, for example. You know, there's a movement called, Ubuntu, created by Michael Tellinger. Highly recommend looking into it. You know, based on free energy, contribution-based society. The problem is, it's the women that need to build this. The women are the key for the future of humanity. They need to get with truth, and they need to get together as a group, massive group, like the whole world of all nations, of all women, because they're the bearers of the future children. They surely cannot allow the child to be poisoned anymore. You know, to be brainwashed, to be fucking part of a system that is broke, that needs changing. You know, it's up to them. I mean, I want children, but I can't bring children into this world. It's awful. You know what I mean? I've lost my train of thought. Yes, absolutely. Not just that, but your beliefs too, as it goes back to knowledge. Once you, the strangest thing is that there's someone watching over you. Your whole life is recorded, which is why you can be judged upon your actions. Okay. This again goes back to very deep-seated things to do with technology and creation. But this it's recorded. I can't really explain it, but when you start and learn new things, particularly like numerology, you will learn that there's a presence around you that's always around you, like a higher intelligence that as soon as you start to learn certain things, it knows you've learned it and will put new things into your path, if that makes sense. Yeah. How do you learn truth? The truth is the poisons you take can be cured from your mind and anything else. Yes, but there are other ways. There's multiple ways to get through the ascension process. Certain drugs, which is why they're pushing the hallucinogenic stuff out there now, 100%. But that's more deception, because you're opening up yourself to a spiritual world, spiritually not knowing anything to do with it, which leaves you open to it. I've studied the paranormal. You know what I mean? I've studied hard on it. So it's not the fact that I'm leaving myself open to it when I do certain drugs. I've never done any hallucinogenics. I've only ever smoked marijuana, really. I've done it for a long time. And if you look into that, it opens up your mind. It's been proven 100%. It's got cancer curing properties. It increases memory and intelligence. It does destroy a little bit of your brain, but I'd rather have memory and intelligence and be who I am, smarter than the average bear, so to speak. We are all unique. We all have our own intelligences, even if you're brainwashed. Most people are good in the heart. If they just don't know how to use their mind and heart together to manifest a better future for their children, which is absolutely key to understanding reality themselves, because they can manifest their will. But pretty soon, if we're going to carry on with this deception, people are taking the chip in their hand. They don't know that it's military applications. They don't know the television's military. They don't know that it's all controlled by Zionism since 1917. The fact that it's all of it is military applications designed and patented by the military, that's then enforced by the elites, let's call it Elon Musk and Bill Gates and IBM and all the companies that are connected to the military. Absolutely. You got to live by both, really, because you got to learn from your mistakes, and you've also at the same time got to keep pushing forward with what you think because if I just settled and that with what I thought I knew, I'd be just as lost as everyone else. I had to change my mind so many times that my friends, right, don't even want to believe the things I say, because I've changed my mind so much. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, that can't be true anymore. No, because of this and this and this. And my friends understand, they comprehend it, but they don't want to believe it true. That's the difference. They've got to the level where they understand what I'm talking about and comprehend it, but they don't want to believe it. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's a lot to it. I'm not saying for 1 minute that I absolutely know everything there is to know. I'm just saying that I am one person that knows a lot of information. Absolutely. That has made serious, deep connections to the elite's agendas with technologies and how that relates to creation. But I've studied the tribes, you see, I've studied ancient history. I've studied the Sumerian literature. I've studied, where that comes from within the Bible. It's how that relates to another time period of the giants, for example, and how that can be seen in the map. A massive, catastrophic event which washed everything off the face of the earth. Absolutely. Well, awareness really is consciousness. And the more aware you become, the more conscious the more consciousness you become, the more you see. And again, that kind of comes into decalcifying your pineal gland, as you were saying. You know, it's true that the more you learn, the more you become as well. You know, it's hard for me to live in this world because I don't want to eat anything that is in our society. You know, I see it as all poison, and yet I still have to live, and yet I still eat the same. I still eat crap essentially, but because I'm ascending in a way, spiritually, mentally, it overrides the poisons. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been very sick. I've had a kidney transplant. Absolutely. You know, I've had a kidney transplant, and even though before and after it, I knew that was not necessary. You know, it wasn't necessary. There, you know, I knew there was places across the earth that could heal me, ancient sites that still working there, still curing people today. What's that? Kangen water filter. I got mine from a site called Pure Filter UK or Pure Water UK. But essentially what it is yeah. It's basically, it boils the water up and there's coils in the top, and essentially the water it catches the steam and then condenses it back into water again. You know, that's the one I've got. That's the one that I believe works the best to get out all the crap in the water. You know, I mean, there's articles out there that literally say, like, you know, oh, don't do these things, don't do distilled water because you need the minerals in the water and the stuff. It's bullshit. You know, you are what you eat, and most people are a meal away from a heart attack every day. You know, it affects you straight away. Look, albeit he is a Freemason and a deceiver, so to speak. Look at the work of Darren Schmidt and the ketogenic diet. Now, if you're fat, if you're overweight, this is great. Do it. If you're slim and you know, don't. You're literally starving yourself to death. Yes, you can. Albeit I've not trained to do that type of stuff before. I've not looked into it. I know you can. There's a lot of stuff because it's to do with frequencies, and you know, you're putting frequencies into war. You're charging things all the time, which is why kind of it says you shouldn't swear in the Bible, because now this is to do with crystals, you said, ice crystal tests. Yeah, you've seen them? Absolutely. So, you know, and when you swear at certain ice crystals, it deforms, you know, deformity, vibrations. Absolutely key to everything. Tesla was right a long time ago. You know, if people thought and was with Tesla over 100 years ago, the real men, this world would have been a very different place indeed. You know, very different. Yeah, you know, he wanted to broadcast free energies across the earth, and all intents and purposes, that could then be manipulated to create Wi-Fi, to cure all diseases, to higher the consciousness of humanity, like get rid of demons, literally get them back to the fucking box, send them to hell. Come on, we can do this. Humanity needs all the knowledge to smash the hell out of these demons. But they don't see them, you see. They don't see them like I see. Fear is another thing that holds people back. It is a scary world we live in, but we chose to come down from the heavens as angels. And if you really want to ascend back to the heavens, you must obviously not be sinning in a world of sin. You must forgive yourself. You must forgive others. You must be merciful to others who are, you know, unaware. I find that difficult. I find it very difficult not to get angry with people. You know, even now speaking, you can see I'm very passionate, but that comes out as like rage, you know. difficult. I'd like to talk about a great deal of things, though, so as long as you bear with me. Who's the third person? Please speak. Please type. So 30 minutes. Thank you very much, though. You know, I'll still carry on talking. And I wasn't expecting anyone, to be fair, to join. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that you coming in. Crystals. That's what we were saying about vibrations and energy. So essentially, there's a guy called Royal Raymond Rife, and his life's work from in 1869. Thank you. Proved without a shadow of a doubt, again, same time as Tesla, that you can cure all diseases with frequencies. That the whole body resonates at certain frequencies. The heart, all the organs resonate at certain frequencies, and your body can be cured with it. Now imagine knowing that sound, vibration, and energy can cure diseases. Music and harmonics can cure diseases. This is the kind of mentality where you have to see the ancient past and architecture and resonance. You know, the people that say, for example, the Saqqara pyramid in Egypt was just a precursor to the pyramid, you know, the tomb of Khafre, you know, the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's a lie, of course. You know, it was built at a certain angle to resonate certain frequencies. Now this is the ultimate deception about ancient history. Is those devices were actually built by to control humanity. It was emulation of the technological creation beforehand, which is why history is repeating itself. If you research it, the pyramids were the devices that were resonating chambers, and they were basically similar to what the elite are trying to produce today in terms of 5G, you know, microwave technologies. 100%, you know. So the stuff from Egypt is actually high culture from a bad civilization, and this is kind of the messed up way you have to see the world. Is that there's two civilizations through time. That one that's 1,000 years of peace and prosperity that used all the knowledge of creation to, well, it took 1,000 years to build this, say, where the whole world believed truth. You know, and then through time, evil souls come in, and wars happen, and degradation. Absolutely, it's killing birds already. It's killing all wildlife. You know, so that it's called. You know, this is kind of the train of thought you have to go through, where I see ancient history differently. You know. I don't see it as what we've been told it, but I actually see it repeating itself, and the same souls today doing exactly the same thing they did in the past. Now, there's a guy, Dr. Stephen Greer, great researcher. His research shows that the grey aliens were transhumanized. They have no free will. And yet, if you look into declassified military files and abductions, you'll know that's true. That there are other beings that are controlling the greys, which could be, you know, which are even taller ones or reptilians for all intents and purposes, and that they're programmable beings. At the same time, I have evidence to show you that there is obviously aliens here that are using cloaking technologies to blend in on the good side and the bad side of reality. So not just the aliens, so the grey aliens essentially also don't have, still have their free will. So there was one alien that I captured trying to give us free energy devices on YouTube. His thing malfunctioned, or it malfunctioned on purpose. You know what I mean? He did it deliberately to show himself, and you know, only conscious people can see this, you know, and believe it to be true. It's fact. Thank you. It's not finished yet. This is part 1 of 2. It's this is blueprint A. So essentially, this is Antarctica in the middle, and then everything else going on around the outside. Which, if you think about what I've seen and know, it either proves that the Earth, if it's this way, it proves the Earth is actually bigger. It has to be, and that they've only mapped a certain distance, and that there's much more land out here. Absolutely. If it's the other way, it just goes into even more mind-boggling stuff about giant trees and the Earth being hollow, everything being all this stuff applies to this model, but it's even more unimaginable when if you imagine this whole outside ring being a giant tree. You know, then you really have to get into how big the Earth is. We have to do the proper, take the, you know, everything properly. You know, it's going to take a long time to do both maps to then work out which one's true. Thank you, though, and I will continue and post and update you on my findings. Ellie Mae, absolutely, Admiral Byrd. You know, Operation High Jump. I don't know how much you've looked into that stuff, but it goes a lot deeper than one can imagine to do. And the Nazis, for example, they had a great battle there, you know what I mean? And they lost, you know, they lost. And the fact is that Admiral Byrd was expected as well, you know, that went, if that's to be true, you know what I mean? Thank you. Do they live Earth and below? It's scary, yes, but there's good and bad beings, and you know, you chose, every single one of us chose to be here to use our energies, our to change the world, to, you know, to change this system that we live in, you know, and I know it's scary, but we tried our best, and we're still trying every day. But yes, they live. The problem with the alien thing, obviously, is you kind of have to get out your perception about space differently. You know, you kind of have to change your mind about space, that not being planets, but sort of a storage device / area where there's physical beings that are up there, which are alien in their craft, but also that it's a spiritual space too, that when you die, you go to heaven, right? So your water, and water is key to our existence. Now, spirits are absolutely attracted to water. 100%, you can trap spirits in water. Now, I know so many people out there, children, for example, have experiences, but by the time they get old, to the time they're about 15, their pineal gland starts to calcify, and essentially they lose, and because of the programming, they lose everything of all their spiritual abilities. But some people don't. We all do, you know, we have to gain it back. Most people have to gain their spirituality back through knowledge and to understand that they have a soul in the first place, you know, that how that relates to energy and ghosts, you know, and how ghosts, well, I ask people, how do ghosts exist? And they can't answer that question. So I say, well, what are ghosts? How do we capture it, and how do we verify and, you know, track them, etc.? Well, we use technologies, you know, we use electromagnetic meters to actually, most people have. So even the people that have seen them, you know, some people even deny their own experiences, like my own father with UFOs in this case. So it goes through energies, you know, and so this is how, like, you're gonna have to relate to yourself. Your soul is energy, and it can be lost. Not lost in terms of later on if we carry on, but like listening to do with the technological transhumanism apocalypse, but more so, you know, left in purgatory if depending on how you lived your life. You know, suicide for one is on the rise, and that most definitely leaves you in purgatory. 100% from, you know, countless videos around the earth from investigations. So they use technologies to to sort of interact with beings. This is again how you have to see that you yourself, your energy relates to technologies. So your soul is immortal, and it needs water to exist, which is your body, and essentially your whole body itself is created with the 7 chakras being each color of the rainbow. When you align yourself with truth, each chakra starts resonating at a higher frequency. And essentially, this is how you become, is part of the ascension process. This is how you realize, you know, you are created essentially based on the principle of the rainbow. That the rainbow today, in terms of frequency knowledge, creates white light. And essentially, you are the star. You are a star. Your whole body works on the principles as a star. So as I was saying before, like heaven is a place for souls because they're the stars. Hell is a place for demons, but they're still energy, right? They can't be destroyed. Now, bear in mind, you can't lose your soul because it's energy. Energy can be transferred. They tell you this. They tell you this. They tell you this. Please know that if you take the technology, you will lose your soul. You will lose your free will. And essentially, and eventually, your soul will be transferred to another computer, another world that they designed. Yes and no. It depends. It's a good question. I'm not sure what's right and wrong in terms of patented technologies. So, for example, the sun simulator evidence I've captured shows that the sun is now white with the rainbow coming out of it, you know, and you can see that in my videos. No, so essentially they're using that, and I can show you the patents as well, from 1966, 1965, sun simulator patents that go back all that way. That's all right. Absolutely, the water and energy is key to understanding your existence, as I was trying to explain previously. The sun simulator, though, so the evidence I've gathered is that the original sun, the orange red sun, was using frequencies in low Earth orbit to create orange light, and today we have a white light, which is using the knowledge of the rainbow, which is a well patented technological device from the 1960s, and has been developed. I can show you the articles. That one was built in Germany, and you know, other articles to relate that it's been up there, and obviously China's new moon going up in 2020. You see, everything relates to technologies, you know, before and now, and how the governments or the elites, the souls of the damned, so to speak, the ones that are now out of Pandora's box, because the government have let them out through science, you know, like CERN and all the hadron colliders, there's more than one, you know, across the Earth are all working to lower the vibrational frequency of the Earth so that they can exist in the first place, which is why we need to rise our higher vibrational energies, which is why the stars are increasing their energies through time, because that's what the stars do. They're trying to battle the stars. It's not going to work. Sorry, but they're going to try anyway. But the end will be, you know, like the stars are forever going to increase in frequency for the next 1,000 years. And it will dip then, boom, back to 349 gigahertz, you know, frequency. I've got the blueprint up there. It's not, you know, you can look at my videos if you're interested in seeing this, you know. I'm just talking to you about what I know, how it all connects together. So the Sun Simulator is definitely, you know, a device that's using knowledge of us, you know, the knowledge of the rainbow, to create white light in low Earth orbit that is essentially part of a much, much bigger plan that's been going on for decades to do with global warming, you know, which is geoengineering, which is using frequency-based technologies like HAARP in Antarctica to create high levels of energy to manipulate the Gulf Stream, because they can't, that's part of creation, you know, they can't destroy it, these energies. They've been trying, for hell, they've been bombing these fucking ancient sites that are connected to the grid, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Where are you from? Poland. Polish. Just a guess. That's the question to Jay. Absolutely, but it's also manipulation using the knowledge of creation, frequency-based reality. You know, the fact that they are using frequency devices to manipulate the Gulf Stream to create and enhance the cycles, because it is about cycles. But they know this. They know their time is coming to an end. These demons, they know they're going back in the box. They just want to take your soul. You know, that's all they care about. Okay, activate your light. You're gonna have to. Absolutely, you're true. That is truth in that, but it's not. Time is based upon a great cycle of 3,600 years, and so itself space time, and so you're gonna have to kind of reconfigure your own perception of history and ancient history, and look at the Sumerian king list, and then repiece history back together again, where through time going good civilization, bad civilization, good civilization, bad civilization. But bear in mind that it also took 400,000 years to create and hollow out the earth today using machines. You know, the evidence for machining across the earth is everywhere. I can show you it. I've got 2 brand new theories coming to do with my blueprint, to do with the engineering of the earth and how it works. You know, and I do believe it's the other way around still. I don't think this is right. So yeah, it's difficult, you know, because you have to forget what you know, but then relearn and put it all together again, you know. And and history is most important to put back together again, in a way, because you've not been told about the 1,000 years of peace and prosperity. You know, they've used that knowledge to lie to you, and create the scenario today, you know, through emulation of everything. Thank you. You know, there's much more work. If you've not looked at my content, please do. I've got over 260 odd videos. No worries, James. Thank you. It's great to meet you. I'm glad that I'm opening your mind. I'm happy to help anyone else try and make sense of this world. But even I don't have 100% clarity, not yet. I will when this is done, because you need to work on it, you know, and it needs to be done in a way that, you know, methodically, with all the knowledge I know. I have to show you a lot of the things, you know. It's like, if you haven't seen certain bits of information, you're not going to piece that bit of information to the puzzle, you know. And unfortunately, like, this is the greatest puzzle of all time, you know. It is by far the hardest thing to put together, which is basically, you know, you in your own mind, an entire perception of reality which is based on facts, not theories. It's just learning what is right and wrong in this world, and then doing the opposite and then knowing morally that you have to do what's right to go against those people in power, you know. I mean, these wicked spirits, man, are, wow, they lie to you every day on the television, you know. Every day they do the same signs and symbols in front of your face that denotes a lie or a truth, you know. And most people don't see it. They don't read body language either, you know. They don't see them smirking and talking to each other, like, you know, because you have to be conscious to see these things, to know that it's going on in the first place, to see it, you know. It's the fact that, like, there's two allegiances, there's two groups, there's two secret societies, let's say, that have major power. One's the Illuminati, so there's a lot of people that do this in their videos, and the other one is Freemasonry, you know. And they do this, they sit there and they'll do that, or, you know. And you can look back through history and you'll see that, you know, prominent people with artwork of doing this on their, you know, doing this, you know, Christopher Columbus, absolutely, and the reverse speech. But the reverse speech can, if they're in a human perspective, it's all right. But I didn't expect what I expected with the Queen's speech in reverse at all. Not one bit, you know. The fact that I really want to do a live video about this, because what it will open your mind up to is that not only can these spirits communicate backwards, but that spirits also communicate backwards, forwards, that multiple spirits came through from ages ago, from, let's say, you know, Old English, you know. And that you have to literally understand languages. You have to, and like, I spent about 15 odd hours listening to translate the Queen's speech in reverse. You know, you had to learn, you know, speaking French, Italian. It's crazy, you know. Then the spirits all coming through. The fact that the main spirit that came through the Queen wasn't even the Queen. It was a man spirit called Slimbarku Slimembe, you know, who was apparently tricked into it. It's fucking insane. Thank you. I know it does. I see people popping in and out of the channel, but there's 5 people. Thank you for staying and listening. If it doesn't help, probably people coming in and I'm talking about random stuff, you know, all over the bloody place. And that's part of it, you know. A lot of people can't keep up with me, you know. They can't keep up with the trail of thoughts. They can't keep up with where I'm going with the knowledge, and why sometimes I have to go back to go forwards, you know. You're welcome. It's no problem. I do this for free. I do this because I have to tell people what I know and how I know it, and why it's important they should consider it, you know, being truth. Yes, it does. It takes time to change your mind. It takes time to process information. It takes even more time to change your perception of reality. Unfortunately, most people don't have time, and so those that are actually in this room, you're here for a reason. You're here to learn, and the reason why that is because you already are conscious enough You may not understand fully what I understand, but you have a great capacity to, unlike others that will just scoff at understanding the knowledge of creation and how that has to do with sacred geometry, you know, how the pyramid in the all-seeing eye is sacred geometry to do with the knowledge of creation. It's everywhere in front of our faces. You know, the rainbow, the unicorn. It's an interesting symbol. The one-horn symbol. And Aphrodite, you know, Aphrodites. Absolutely. Question is there a physical tree at the center of the earth? Is this a tree we actually live on? You know, is this a hollowed out tree in a world of titans? And if that's the case, is the programming trying to tell you that? When you see God being a bearded man in the sky with massive hands coming down over a dome, think about it. Warrior for a reason. A lot of people don't know that. Like I said, they've forgotten. They've forgotten. The problem is that when you come down from the heavens to do this, whatever you said you were gonna do, your mind gets wiped, and you literally have to learn it. And then once you get to a certain level of learning, you find yourself, your true self. You know, you think, holy shit, this is actually who I am, not the person that they want me to be. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that's kind of where you got to go with it, if that makes sense. But it takes time to know your true self, if that makes sense. Like you have to learn a lot about you and the world you live in. So this map of the world behind me is almost finished. It is the world we live in. It was flooded. And the question is, how? All right, let's talk about the trans. I'll talk about the trans stuff. Right. This is part of the process of enlightenment and ascension, okay? The elites are doing an inversion of everything. Now, in order to ascend, male and female, to a higher level of consciousness, to the point where you can get your halo, you can access your soul abilities, you know, you can see a great deal of other things and access information, from what I was saying at the start of the video, to do with the Akashic field, you know. So I get wireless information fed into me. We all do, but the more conscious you become, the more information you have. So part of that is understanding that you are half male and half female energy, energetically. Yeah, you have to impart in yourself the energies of a male and the energies of a female. Now I am fully half impart with my feminine self. You know what I'm saying? So this is part of the ascension process. You have to literally become part feminine and half male and half female. Now, the reason why you got the trans stuff coming out today is because essentially they're trying to make you think, get that stuff into your head without you really understanding it. You know, they're trying to make girls boys and boys girls. You see, you literally have to see that that's going on to go, hang on a minute, I'm a guy and that's a girl, and they are what they are because they're created. You see what I'm saying? And essentially, they are trying to make you react. Everything is about reactions. Everything is a problem, reaction, solution. If you're not reacting to anything they're doing, you're asleep. If you're not seeing any of their agendas going on in front of you, you're asleep. Nothing. You know? So essentially, they're trying to make boys girls and girls boys, But in a way, obviously, and that has to do with creation, that has to do with emulation, and inversion. You know, that but they want to make you react to it. You know what I'm saying? They want you to react, but this is to do with energy. So you need to see that what part of that, what's going on. Now, this is also connected to pedophilia. It's also connected to sodomites, these spirits, these wicked spirits in high places that have created this civilization, which is sick. That is, this is diabolical, you know? The fact that most people are ignoring one of the biggest industries in the world, illegal industries in the world, to do with child trafficking, is, and how our country is involved with it, is sickening. It's, you know what I'm saying? People are just stupid to not know that, you know, there's a one of my videos, there's a pedophile statue outside the BBC of a guy doing this, right, with a boy holding a flute successively with his two fingers pointing to his cock, you know, and it's like, hello, that's outside the BBC, man. Babylon, BBC. You know, people have no idea, like, the depravity of our society, and all, and it's and how it's the people on the television, it's the bankers, it's the elites, and how why they've lied to them their entire lives to create this civilization of corruption, everything. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And it's all coming out to make you react, and yet it's still the tip of the iceberg. It's nothing compared to what is to be seen and known about the true horrors of the people in charge. The fact that they are Nazis in mindset, you know, whether that's in China, whether that's in Europe, whether that's in Britain, whether that's in America. Capitalist Nazis. What else can we call them? You know, locking up people unethically because we've bombed their country. You know, because BAE Systems decides they want to fucking give Saudi Arabia bombs to bomb Yemen and Libya. You know what I'm saying? So who's caused the problems? The corrupt institutions that are connected to our evil civilization has. English civilization. It's wicked. Well, there's much to take in, as you know. I don't know who Walter Hellstein is. Walter Ralph. I gathered. They're all fucking Zionists. So let's get back to the emulation of technological creation. Today, they want to trick you, essentially. They have tricked you. They've tricked your subconscious mind already to believe a false perception of reality, which essentially has gone off into equation after equation after equation, which has no bearing upon our own existence, i.e. the Big Bang Theory, the cosmological principles, everything to do with geological time and history itself. So as I was saying before, the greatest puzzle of all time is putting everything together in your own mind to know truth. And essentially what you need to do, and this is masonry here, right? You need to replace their cornerstones. Okay? I was doing deliberately symbols, all right? I'm not a Freemason. I'm not at all. However, I have done some interesting research to find that I could potentially have connections to royal families during the 10th century in Britain, in England particularly. I'm like, wow, how fascinating is that? That I got potentially connections to royalty, and you know, like, woo, the Sanders family back in the 10th century. You know, like, whoa. The globe is in the classrooms. Yes, it is. But my map is going to be in the map. It's going to be around the world soon enough. Once it's done, people are going to, I hope people spread it. It's going to be the most iconic map of the earth ever. You know, that proves everything a lie. No, they're not royal at all. You know, it starts off with the royal houses. Get on, Pete. Definitely, I'm a lizard. Like, the royal houses are not royal at all. You know, they all started with nobility to do with a different time period of the 1,000 years of peace and prosperity. So this has to do with a different time and the end of sort of the Viking era. It's complicated. As I said, you have to kind of put history back together again, in a different way. So essentially, because the 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, that's not incorporated into your mind, you kind of have to put that in there and then see how that relates to the knowledge of the cross itself, and see how that relates to the secret symbols within secret societies and how that has been transformed, and the knowledge from that time period has been manipulated essentially, because the whole earth at one point believed in, let's call it Christ consciousness, let's call it truth, let's call it, you know, reality, let's call it, they had understanding of creation and they abided by it to have 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, a contribution-based society where they all work together, right? Because the people that built that society were the ones that are suffering just like today, just like Jesus during the time of Jesus. It's the same. I mean, people are waiting for a savior to come, and he's not going to come from beyond the grave. You know, we have to look upon those attributes and say, look, okay, we're living in the same similar time period as Jesus did. So we're looking for someone who's got the same attributes, right? You know, and that is truth, right? That one person solely can, in all honesty, with the help of many other people around them, unite all of humanity under one banner of truth against corruption, right? And then spread that knowledge across the planet, which then built 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, a contribution-based society. Yes, Jesus is part of the text. You have to kind of think is literal and allegorical, and there's also metaphorical meanings in there as well. There's multiple ways of interpreting the ancient literature, but you have to see that it's dualistic to begin with. So most of it you have to read it literally and allegorically. But you're right, it was to do with the movement of the sun anyway. But nevertheless, someone did die. It wasn't, you know, his body was chopped up, according to the literature, and spread across the earth, right? And the only body part that was not found by his disciples was his penis, his phallus. And yet today, you see phallus worship everywhere. Now that relates to this true story. You know, the fact that Jesus, the real Jesus, got chopped up, his body parts, and spread across the earth. That's the real story. You know, that's the original story. You know, the Catholic Church then edited it and changed it through time and manipulated it, created 2 books from it, and then divided the nation against nation. You know, the red and the blue book, whether that's the Muslim thing, you know, the Shias and the Sunnis, the Catholics and the Christians. They did it all. The Catholic Church did it all. They manipulated everything, you know. Through time, you got to see it took time. They put people against people to kill nations that knew the truth, and they're still doing it today. They're bombing countries that are culturally connected to a different time period, which are still holding on to those values. The time of peace and prosperity, 1,000 years of Jesus, let's call it, the Christ consciousness. technically, you know, once you find your own salvation, you know, you're pretty much obliged to blow the whistle and help others see the truth. If you don't, then that's an action, right? So if you know certain things and you're not saying anything about it, then that's an inaction, which is actually an action in the first place, right? Silence. So I've kept quiet for too long, you know. I've put my videos out, but unfortunately they don't grasp what I'm trying to say to you, you know, right now. Not whatsoever. Anyway, I'm going to take a break. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I will do more soon enough. I hope you have learned some things, you know, and I hope this video spreads or people watch it, you know. Absolutely. You know, I can't, it's scary, the truth. I appreciate every one of you, you know, all your support, everything you know, you say now. Sometimes I feel lost, even when I get messages of thanks and stuff, I still think that I'm not doing enough. I know too much to not say enough. So I appreciate every one of your support. So thank you. Take care. Have a great day. And speak to you soon. Goodbye for now. Ta-ra.